Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here for our annual fall education. My name is Melissa Roberts. I'm the volunteer manager with HonorHealth and joined today by Liz Hyatt and Kylene Price. If you both want to just say a quick hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Hyatt. I'm the Network Director for Patient Experience and Services, and happy to be with you guys today.
And my name is Kylene Price. I'm the supervisor at Deer Valley, and we're excited for you to be a part of our education. So thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Kylene. Before we go any further, we just want to pause and thank you so much for all you do at our campuses, volunteering week after week. I know some of you have just been a volunteer for a few weeks, and then others of you have been volunteers for years and maybe decades. And no matter what you do, maybe you're at Desert Mission, giving food to people facing food insecurity, maybe at our surgery waiting, helping our patient families. Maybe you're at the information desk. You're that first face that people see when they walk in. Maybe your pet therapy or your spiritual care, and you're supporting our patients, helping to bring some joy and connect with them. No matter what you do, we are so grateful that you give your time and your compassion and empathy to our patients and our staff and our guests week after week. So we just want to say thank you. And we want to say thank you for being a part of our fall education today. Some of the reasons that we do this and kind of going to highlight kind of what we're going to talk about today as we go through. But we paused to do our annual education because of our accreditation being a part of a healthcare system. There are certain requirements that we have to meet for our employees. And so as employees, we have to participate in annual education. And what we do for employees, we have to mirror what we do for our volunteers so that we stay compliant and can continue to provide that great service that we do for our community. So really appreciate you pausing to complete this training and help us stay compliant. But it's so much more than just checking a box for us. In a couple slides, we're going to ask for your feedback, which we really value. You have a really unique perspective as volunteers. You see our hospitals and you see Desert Mission in a really different way than how we as staff see our facilities. So excited to get your feedback for how we can improve what we do as a department and also as a healthcare system and at Desert Mission as well. We'll also have some important reminders. I think some of it you may already know, and then for other things, hopefully there's some nuggets of wisdom that you'll pick up on today that will be valuable for you. And we'll talk about some of our fun upcoming events as we head into the holiday season as well. So without further ado, we're gonna dive in. I already touched on this a little bit, but your feedback really makes us better, whether that's helping us provide better care for our patients and better support for our Desert Mission programs in our community, or maybe it makes our volunteer services department better. So really excited to get your feedback on a couple things. First, we're going to get your feedback on our recognition system. So just a show of hands, I would love to see who here wears, while they're volunteering, an hours pin that shows how many hours of service you have. Awesome. I'm seeing a couple hands go up, Kathy and Gail and Susie. Fantastic. I know there's a lot of you. That's awesome. So we give hours pins to recognize and celebrate when you get 100 hours cumulative of volunteer service, and it goes up from there. So you might have a 200 hours pin or a 1,500 hours pin. And we love this element of recognition because we find that it's a great conversation starter. If you're escorting someone or helping someone in the hospital or Desert Mission, they might see that 1,000-hour pin and say, "Oh my goodness, you volunteered 1,000 hours." So it's so fun for the public to recognize you. But we know what an amazing impact that you make, and so we love when you wear the hours pins. So if you don't have one and you think you're eligible or need a new one, you can always reach out to your volunteer supervisor. So we're keeping our hours pins, but we're thinking about transitioning away from our years of service pins. Raise your hand if you have a year of service pin. Maybe it's a 1 year pin or a 10-year pin. Awesome. Lots of hands there. So we're thinking about changing our years of service pins for a couple of reasons. We've gotten some feedback that, sometimes folks had to take a gap of service or gap from service during COVID or other breaks in your personal life. And then it's hard for us to calculate, okay, how many years have you done? And so to try to take out some of the math and complications, we want to simplify our system and also make it a little bit more clear to people when you started volunteering. So we're thinking about adding a badge buddy instead of the years of service, and it would say the year that you started. So there's that example on the right, volunteer since 1990, or maybe you would have one that says volunteer since 2022. And that's a way for us to recognize and celebrate your service, and also a way for the public, the folks that you're interacting with, our staff, for them to be able to see how long you've been volunteering with us. And so we're thinking about moving away from the years of service and moving to this badge buddy system. So would love your feedback about that. And on the next slide, I'm going to have the way that you're going to give us that feedback. But lastly, on this slide, who here's been to our recognition luncheon in April? Have you been to our recognition luncheon that we have in April? Okay, awesome. Well, I'm seeing some hands, but not a ton. So I hope more of you join us in April. We always pause what we're doing and we recognize important milestones. We have a really delicious lunch. We celebrate our scholarship winners. It's a great time to just connect and with other volunteers and celebrate your service. So we want to figure out if there's a way that we can refresh our luncheon and improve our luncheon format so that it really resonates with you, because we want you to walk away from our luncheon feeling appreciated and feeling recognized for your efforts as a volunteer. So this survey is going to be the way that you're going to give us feedback on your service as a whole, and also those recognition milestones and the luncheon that I was talking about. So I'm going to throw up this QR code now. I'm also going to throw it up at the end of the presentation, but if you want to scan it, I just ask that you don't fill it out right now, because we want you to be focused and engaged during the presentation, but take a few minutes, hopefully when we get off today, and you can fill this out after we wrap up. If you would like a paper copy of the survey, just email your volunteer supervisor and ask them for a paper copy, and we can get those to you. And like I said, asking specifically about the recognition, but then also just in general, how we can improve your service, or if there's any pebbles in your shoe, something that is making it harder for you to serve or harder for you to be a successful volunteer, give us that feedback so that we can look at that, evaluate, and see if there's anything that we can do to make your experience as a volunteer more meaningful and more impactful. All right, here I'm going to turn it over to Liz to go over some important HonorHealth reminders.
Thanks, Melissa. As we go to the next slide, I wanted to remind everybody about our Volunteer Advisory Council. These are individuals that represent volunteers from all of our areas of service. So each hospital campus, Desert Mission has their own representatives as well. And we work with our advisory council to do a lot of different things. This recognition piece that Melissa just went through actually went to the Volunteer Advisory Council so that we could vet it through them, get feedback with them before we brought it to all of you guys. Raising money for scholarships through spring training is something they oversee. They're also able to take the profits that we receive through our thrift store and our gift shop and help make decisions on how best to reinvest those in the organization. And so maybe you've seen those beautiful gray teddy bears with ribbons on them. There's a picture here on the screen for you. Those were purchased based on a presentation that came to the advisory council about how we could offer some warmth, some empathy, and just a little gift of appreciation to our patients who may need something to hold on to. So teddy bears, not just for kids, could be for adults in any stage. They're just a comfort item courtesy of the advisory council. Would love for you to connect back with your supervisors on your campus if you want to learn more, or if you've got an interest in possibly joining the council as a representative from your campus. So next slide, Melissa. Flu shots. I don't know if you're tired of talking about flu shots or hearing us talk about flu shots. I know you've got multiple emails probably from your supervisors, maybe on the pop-up screen when you signed in, but collectively as an organization, we are coming up on the deadline for all employees, all volunteers, all vendors to be compliant to the HonorHealth flu policy. And essentially what that requires is that you either get the flu shot and submit documentation back to your volunteer office, or you sign the religious or medical declination with your right partners and return that declination form back to the volunteer office. So 2 options: get the shot, sign a declination or exemption form, return the documentation to the volunteer office. Once we have your documentation on either side, we're able to mark you as compliant. The organization has until this Friday to get, again, all employees, all volunteers, all vendors compliant to the flu shot, the flu policy, not just the flu shot. If you've gotten your flu shot in the community, maybe it was the high dose flu shot, or you just did that through your personal physician, CVS, Walgreens, make sure that documentation comes back to your volunteer office. There are still some open events happening around the network if you want to drop in for that. If you prefer to go to an employee health office, you just need to call employee health and make an appointment for them to see you to give you the flu shot, and there's no charge for that. If we do not have your documentation, starting on Monday, we will be reaching out to you to see, hey, did you just forget to turn it in? Or are you choosing, hey, this is a personal thing, I just don't want to do it, I don't believe in it, and then we'll have discussions from there. Starting next week, you will be removed from the schedule as we go into November until we have been able to mark you compliant. So if you've been dragging your feet, now's the time to take action and work with your supervisor to make sure your record is up to date. Next slide. Again, respiratory virus season is here. That's why we do the flu policy in October, is we want to make sure everybody stays healthy as we go into respiratory virus season. So number one, it's proper hand hygiene and also taking care of yourself. If you feel sick, please stay home. Please let us know you won't be in for your shift. We want everybody to have the time and space to get well. We also don't want you to pick up anything in our environment that may compromise your immune system further. And we don't want anybody that's healing in the hospital to pick up something that would make it more difficult. So definitely stay home. And then I'm going to encourage you guys to also develop some clean policies as you start and end your shift as well. Some fun facts on there about keyboards, if we don't clean them, and how quickly and dirty keyboards can be. But have a plan not just for your keyboard, but if you bring your personal cell phone into the area and happen to set it on the counter, the pins that we use, the counter surfaces, we really want to make sure that all parts of our service area and our environment stay clean and are disinfected as we go through this busy germ season. So look out for each other and follow the proper protocols for not just your wheelchairs, but for all surfaces. Proper hand sanitation, again, this is one of the key things to keep you healthy and also make sure that you're not taking germs back home to your friends and family. You see that image there on the right, and areas in red in that image are the areas that are most missed when we wash our hands. So whether you're using the hand sanitizer, whether you're using soap and water, definitely pay attention to those thumbs, the tips of our fingers, parts of our palm. You really want to make sure we're getting enough hand sanitizer, that we're rubbing our hands for about 20 seconds before that hand sanitizer is dry. Or if you're using soap and water, make sure you, again, are using that soap and water for 20 seconds. Sing happy birthday to yourself or your ABCs. Gloves, let's talk about gloves. As a reminder, at the food bank, you change gloves in between each activity. So I don't put one pair of gloves on and think that's going to be great for my whole service. Every activity requires a different pair of gloves. In the hospital, we don't wear gloves as a way to prevent germs from spreading. We wear gloves for proper hand sanitizing, proper surface sanitizing, making sure that we're using those disinfectant wipes with a glove on. The disinfectant wipes in the hospital are stronger than what you use at your homes, and so we want to make sure your hands are protected as well. Next slide.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz,
Yeah.
so much for those important reminders. Now we're going to go into some more reminders, but this is a little bit more about how you show up for service and how you care for everyone every shift you volunteer. So maybe you've been out and about in the community and you've seen this new brand mantra, all of us, all for you. I don't know, maybe you've seen some of our new advertisements or new marketing materials around our hospitals and around Desert Mission. But I love this new brand mantra because it captures a couple things that I think are really cool. One, it captures that we're all a part of the care team. Sometimes we think maybe it's just the nurses or just physicians that are a part of the care team. But every volunteer, you're all a part of our care team, whether that's in the hospital or a Desert Mission Food Bank or Lincoln Learning Center, the thrift store or adult day health. You're caring for the community. And it also captures that you're an expert. I go around to all of our campuses, and so often someone will come up to me, they'll see my badge, and they'll ask me a question, or they'll be looking for something, and I'll say to them, "Oh, I don't know the answer to that, but let's go grab a volunteer because you're the experts and you know your campuses so well." And so today is all about kind of how we can think about maximizing your impact. But before we go into that, have kind of a fun video to show you from our new marketing campaign, and then we'll talk more after that.
Who are they?
Those are Grandma's experts.
Oh, why are they here?
Grandma invited them. She's seen a lot of doctors over the years, but she insists they are the best, and not just in medicine.
Yeah, as always. Look at you.
See what I mean? Get expert care from experts who care.
Have you met my grandson? He's single.
HonorHealth. All of us, all for you.
Awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed. Oops, sorry about that. Let me get back to the right slide. Hopefully you enjoyed that commercial, but I think it captures really well, right, that it's not just a surgeon who's the care team. It's not just our nurses who are the care team, but it's every single person who shows up at HonorHealth to give back and share of themselves. And you make an incredible impact as a volunteer. I know that you know this, or else you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't show up week after week. You wouldn't be here to do our fall education. And we're so grateful for the impact that you make. And I would love to just hear from a couple of you to think back to an experience that you had, one of your last volunteer shifts, maybe in the last couple weeks or the last month. And I would love for a volunteer or two to take themselves off mute and just share about what impact did you get to have while you were volunteering. So I know I'm throwing you on the spot, going to give you a minute to think about it and then take yourself off mute. Would love to hear from one or two of you.
Something that I would actually love sharing is some days going into volunteering, we might also not have the best days going forward, like into, our volunteering shifts. And some days, I have a lot of studying to do. I'm really stressed out. I feel like it's hard for me to even go. But actually, a couple of weeks ago when I went, I do I do floors, and when I went into the patient's room and I got to talk to a lot of them, one of them, they were alone and they just had a stroke. They were all alone for a week. They were there for a week, and we just started talking. My grandpa just had a stroke, so I was talking about that, and it was a very heart to heart conversation. And at the end, like, I got really emotional and I cried, and like they were just like, "We're so glad, like thank you so much for coming and volunteering, like this means so much to me, like being all alone and having someone to talk to just means a lot." And that just made my whole week. And I almost felt like, you know, as much as I wasn't having the best day or they weren't having the best day, it impacted us both in such a positive way that, you know, I will forever remember that person. And like, I will, you know, these are the moments that I feel like all volunteers kind of go into, you know, having that positive impact on a patient.
Wow, Saida, thank you so much for sharing that amazing story and that connection that you were able to make with that family, not only the patient, but their support system. And thank you for the impact that you made on that family's lives. Um, I love that story. And I know everyone probably has a story like that, or maybe multiple. I know I've seen a couple come in the uh, well, if Liz suggested if anyone else has a story to put in the chat, I would love to hear maybe one more person to take themselves off mute and share an impact that you've been able to have while you've been volunteering.
I had one the other day. There was a couple that had come in, and he was neither one of them could walk very well. And he was kind of he was complaining about how there was nowhere to park. They had to park a long way away. And so they needed to go to admitting, and I had gotten her in a wheelchair. And I told him I'd be their valet and I'd be there for them the whole time and anything that they needed. And we kind of had a, nice little talk on the way down to admitting. And I was able to, he sat in a different waiting area than surgery. He sat like across from the information desk. Oh yeah, I'm at the information desk. And he sat across and I kept checking in on him, and I'd wave to him and he'd get a big smile on his face. And then she had just come out of surgery. And so I got to see her after she'd gotten out of surgery, and she saw me and had given me the biggest smile because I chatted with them before she was admitted. And so then I took him down to the surgery waiting room, and he was very grateful. And we chatted along the way, and he was telling me about how long they'd been married and that he was also a volunteer at the Osborne campus for 10 years as well. And so he's like, I'll direct you. And it was just really nice getting to know them and how long they'd been married. Um, he was also a volunteer there. And he told me he was very grateful for my kindness and that I cared for them, and it was just a nice, loving, kind moment. And that seeing their love between their family. And I just really appreciated it, and that they appreciated me.
Oh, Jackie, thank you so much for sharing. I love the connection that you were able to make and the way that you were able to support them like all throughout the day from the navigation, but it didn't just end there. That relationship that you built. And we know when people come into our facilities, right, they're anxious, they're nervous, and having that personalized attention, whether that's like Saida was chatting with someone in their room or giving that personalized attention, getting them right where they need to go, offering them a wheelchair, that really goes a long way, especially when we know folks are coming in maybe in a vulnerable state. And we know that you make such an incredible impact. And today is thinking about how can you maximize your impact. We're big believers in that there's always something that we can do to improve, right? Whether that's 1%, whether that's 10%. And so as Liz and I go through the next couple slides, a lot of this you'll probably nod your head and say, oh yeah, I do that. I'm fantastic at that. But maybe there's a thing or two or a couple that stand out and you think, okay, you know what? I can do that a little bit better so that I can really maximize the impact and the connection that I'm making with people during my volunteer service. So some general reminders, and maybe something will kind of pop out on this slide, but a couple that I wanted to draw you to is that we have our volunteer handbook, and you were asked to read through it when you first began your service, and you have to sign a document saying that you read through it every couple years to help us stay compliant. But we know sometimes you get busy and maybe you sign the paper and you say, oh, I'm going to go back and read it, but then you forget, or maybe it's been several months and And we update our volunteer handbook at least about once or twice a year. So we updated it this summer, and there's a lot of great resources in there to help guide you and help support our patients and staff and be knowledgeable about resources and policies. So encourage you to look back at the handbook. There's a screenshot there of where to find it. If you go to our adult volunteer page, it's going to be on the right side where you just above where you would click to sign in for Volgistics. A couple other things I want to draw your attention to. We're going to be diving in to kind of auditor season in the next couple months and kind of early parts of 2026. If there's ever a time when an auditor comes up to you and says, "Hi, I'm from the state. I'm here for an audit," or "I'm from the health department," something like that. Maybe if you're at the food bank and someone says that they're from the government here for an audit, that's a time to call administration right away so that we can make sure to have the right people come down and meet those auditors and provide them with what they need for their audit. So just keep that in mind, that an administration will be your phone call in the event of an auditor or someone from the state of Arizona coming up to you. So just some important reminders there. Thinking about your uniform. Your uniform is your first impression, and we know first impressions are so valuable. I know everyone on this call, I'm sure you always look really professional when you show up to volunteer, but I've seen some volunteers before where I think to myself, did that person sleep in that polo? It doesn't look so professional. It looks a little wrinkled. So just some reminders to make sure that you look really professional, because that's going to instill confidence in us. And when you go up to someone and you're there to offer a wheelchair, you're there to bring out a food cart at Desert Mission Food Bank, you looking professional is going to help give them confidence in us and the experience that they're going to receive at HonorHealth. Want to specifically highlight going into kind of the winter months. I know we're all loving the cooler mornings and cooler evenings, and I know that the hospital can be chilly kind of year round, but especially in the winter. So if you're chilly and you volunteer in the hospital, there's a couple things that you could do. One, you can wear a long sleeve underneath your polo. Or you can purchase a jacket from one of our gift shops and wear that over your polo. The reason we don't want you to wear a jacket or like a non-HonorHealth jacket, we don't want you to cover up the HonorHealth logo. You know how sometimes your badge gets flipped around or people can't see who you are. So it's really important that if you're wearing during the winter, you're wearing your polo as your outermost layer, or you have an HonorHealth jacket. Some of you may have a long sleeve HonorHealth shirt from a distribution a couple years ago. That's okay too. But just keep that in mind going into the winter months. We always want the HonorHealth logo to be on your outermost layer so people can easily identify you and know that you're there to help. It takes a team. Couple important points about our team, and I think our volunteers do such a great job of this, especially being mindful that the information that we receive is confidential. Many of you use HonorHealth as a patient as well. And I think you know that we really value patient confidentiality. And as a volunteer, it's the same for as an employee or one of our nurses or physicians. We always need to be really mindful of patient information. And that means that, say you escort someone up to the ICU and you've made that connection with someone and they're telling you about the details of maybe an accident their loved one was in or the situation that their loved one's in. We don't want you going back down to the information desk and saying to your fellow volunteer, "Oh my gosh, you're never going to guess what XYZ person said about their loved one," right? That person told you that in confidence. And so, think about if you're that patient or if you're that loved one, you would want that to just stay between you and the person that they shared. So be mindful of that. And we really want to try to build each other up. I would encourage you, if you get to know the other staff and the other volunteers that you interact with. say you're a surgery waiting volunteer and you're bringing up a patient and some paperwork up to the volunteer in surgery waiting. Tell that patient that you're escorting, we're heading up to surgery waiting and Renee's the volunteer at surgery waiting. She's going to be your go-to throughout the day if you have questions, and you're in really good hands with Renee, right? Creating that personalized connection goes a long way. And so maybe there's a staff member that you interact with frequently or you see around, but you're like, gosh, I should know their name, but I don't. Just go up and ask them and say, hey, I've been a volunteer for a while. I should know your name, but I don't. Will you just tell me? And how long have you been a volunteer here at Thompson Beaker? How long have you been a volunteer at Desert Mission? Creating that camaraderie and that way that we can build each other up is going to create that culture that is going to make people feel more comfortable, right? Because when you are nervous and you're having a healthcare experience, you want to know that everyone's on the team working their hardest for you. So help create that culture. And welcoming new volunteers with open arms. I know this wouldn't be anyone on this call because I know you all are amazing volunteers, but I have heard before a volunteer tell another volunteer, well, don't sit in that chair, that's my chair. That's not the spirit of collaboration that we're going for at HonorHealth and for our volunteer team. We want to create a spirit of collaboration and welcoming, especially to our new volunteers. It is intimidating being the new person and not getting the inside jokes and getting lost. And so just remember to greet those new volunteers, or maybe one of your supervisor is going to tap you to help train someone, help welcome them and make them feel at home as a volunteer. I am committed. Our Volgistics database, where you sign up for your volunteer shift, it's a great way for you to take yourself off the schedule so that we know you're not coming in. This is important because you are so important as a volunteer. When you don't show up to volunteer, we really notice. Sometimes our campus will struggle when you don't show up because your volunteer service is so impactful. So if you give us notice, then we can try to find coverage, or we can let our staff know so that they can kind of help fill the important role that you are serving. But that advance notice really helps us plan so that your supervisor can try to fill in the pieces so that we're still providing that exceptional care to our patients and our community. So just ask that you take yourself off the schedule if you know you're going to be absent. We know you might just wake up and not feel good, like Liz said. We want you to stay home if you're not feeling well. We know that you don't always have a heads up when your tire's going to pop on the way to your volunteer service, but most of the time you kind of know if you have that fun cruise coming up or if you have a test you need to study for. So just ask that you give us that notice, send us an email, or take yourself off logistics when you can. And Liz, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Melissa. Those were all great reminders about how we can get maybe 1%, 5%, 10% better. I'm going to continue on and talk all of us, all for you, with people are our priority. And I want everybody on camera to clap with me. Go ahead, let me see you start clapping. Yay. All right, the reason I'm having you clap is I believe in the mind and the body connecting to remember this acronym. We have a value of empathy. And if you look at the body of science over the last 20, 25 years and boiled it down to what actions we need to take as individuals to live that value of empathy, that body of science would tell us it comes down to CLAP, which is connect, listen, acknowledge, and partner. And so, thank you. I love the clap that's coming through and as well. So I want you to think for a minute, no matter where you serve, how do you make connections? What are we doing to listen, acknowledge, and partner? So really would love for just a minute to see the chat light up, and you are there volunteering, you see somebody you don't recognize, maybe it's a staff person, maybe it's a fellow volunteer, maybe it's a community member. How do you make a connection with people? What are you doing that helps us connect? So just type in the chat and let's read a bunch of different things about how we connect with other people. Give you Eye contact, absolutely. Smile, saying hello, being kind. Introducing yourself. Yes, I love that. Using your name for sure. Chocolate chip cookies. That's I'm sure that can be a great way to connect. Smiling, warm greeting, absolutely. Introduce yourself, chat with them, all those small talk type of things. Absolutely. Body language, that's such a good one to point out because it does need to be open and show that we are here to connect with others. How we can be of service for sure. Oh, shaking their hand. Yeah, that could be great as well too. So the first step of any interaction should be connecting, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. I think our volunteers are really good at making connections with other people. We know what it looks like when somebody's doing this in the hallway and looking around. We know they're lost and we stop and we say hello. And just would remind you that all acts of service should start first with that connection. And folks in our environments, whether it's Desert Mission or at the hospital, we don't want to be an injury or an ailment or a situation. We want to be seen as a human. And part of the warmth our volunteers bring is humanizing care, making sure that we're connecting with them on a personal level. The second step of that is listening. And as Melissa goes forward with our slides, we're going to talk a little bit more about what listening is. I think some of us in our lives have been told, maybe by friends or family members, you're not listening to me, right? And sometimes they're right. We're not listening. And that could be that they pick up on our body language. They pick up that we are having our attention somewhere else. And so want to pause here and just share some reminders on how we can be great listeners.
Many of us don't listen to other people. Instead, we just think and wait for our turn to express our own opinion. Take a step back and look at your colleagues' conversations. It's likely it'll look more like two monologues where everyone tells about themselves. The cure for it is active listening. It's a very powerful skill. It brings people closer, builds trust, and helps people to open up. Here are 5 steps on how to do it. 1. Stay focused. Keep natural eye contact, don't judge, and be patient. 2. Really listen. Don't think about your similar experiences and what you should tell next. 3. Allow for periods of silence. Wait till the other person speaks again. 4. From time to time, repeat the other person's words or paraphrase it back to them. It will reassure that you really listen and encourage them to open up. 5. Understand the emotions behind the words. When you paraphrase, also try to express the other feelings back to them. Active listening is rather difficult and can be more tiring than talking itself. Be prepared for long conversations. On the other hand, you will gain trust and people will simply like to spend time with you. You will also understand them much better. At the beginning, try it with your spouse or a good friend. You'll see how great they feel after talking to you. If you want to learn more about optimal lifestyle, subscribe to our channel.
We don't need to subscribe because we're all great listeners, right? And think about the escorts that you might do, or the time when you're visiting with pet therapy or in spiritual care, or any of the other opportunities we have to really engage with others. We want to make that connection, open up that door for them to know that we are here for them. We want to actively listen to them. And then, as you saw number 5 in here, we want to acknowledge what they've shared with us. As you look again at this body of science around empathy, acknowledging tends to be one of the most important pieces of letting other people know that we are trying to be empathetic. We are trying to show compassion in that moment. And there's a formula for it. The best part about empathy is that it can be learned. This is not something you have to be born with. And so we've given a formula if you were one of those people that are learning to be empathetic. And it's just acknowledging what it is you heard, as well as the emotion that you might have heard behind those words. So I can hear how anxious you are about your loved one's procedure. I can see why you are scared of whatever diagnosis may have happened, right? So we get a chance, and I think it's a privilege that we have to be invited into a lot of people's stories while they are in our environments, no matter where that is that we encounter them. And in order to make sure that we're living our value of empathy, we want to pause and acknowledge the words that they've shared with us and the emotion that they've expressed. This helps us build trust. And one of the great things about it is when the community member, the patient, the family member, the client, whomever it is, when they see that you do this, their trust in all of us at HonorHealth is expanded. So if a staff member does it and you're the next person that comes in line, they're going to instantly have more trust with you because of what somebody did before you. And so if you reverse that and you think about, hey, I'm going to be the individual that's talking to this patient, this family member before the staff, if I can show empathy through connection, through listening, through acknowledging, and through partnering, then that trust they built with me is going to have a ripple effect to everybody else that they interact with at HonorHealth. I really would caution us. We're great at answers, especially those of you that serve at the information desk, or maybe those who have been volunteering for quite some time. When people ask us things, we're really great to go from that active listening into the partnering or fixing stage. And so if that is you, find those moments where you can acknowledge. And it's not every interaction, right? This isn't rainbows and unicorns and sprinkles. Sometimes people walk up to the information desk and say, "Hi, I'm here to see Liz Hyatt." That isn't one of those where I would use this formula and say, "I can hear that you are anxious to see Liz Hyatt," right? That wouldn't flow naturally. But there are moments where we are invited in and we can show empathy and we can live it in a very positive way in our environments. So back to you, Melissa. There we go. Yeah, it's okay. So words matter, right? We know our body language, how we communicate, that eye contact, all those things. And a note about cell phones and all the science that has come out as we've been more engaging with our cell phones, or those of you that wear the watches that mimic your cell phones. Simply having the device in our hand, even if we're not looking at it, or maybe you're at the desk and it's sitting out next to you, tells another person that the device is more important than they are. So again, not just because it's respiratory season and germs are everywhere, but really best to keep your cell phone out of sight as we serve other people, and be mindful of looking at your watch. If you are thinking, oh, that's a text message and I can ignore it, simply looking at your watch is going to show that we are not hearing what another person has to say. And lastly, why does this matter? Why are we reminding everybody about the importance of empathy? Is because, again, that body of science would tell us it is so important in healthcare. It is so important as we serve other people at Desert Mission, because we know so many people would change health systems, would change doctors' offices, would change coming to our locations if we were not empathetic. And I'll just tell you a quick story. I had a great letter come in from Patient Experience about this family in Buckeye. And a member of the family had a healthcare emergency, and they went to the hospital that they thought they were going to get some great care at and was nearest to them. After sitting in the emergency room for a couple hours, they decided they wanted to leave. They did not feel comfortable or safe in that environment, and so they thought they would try HonorHealth Osborne Medical Center. They came into Osborne, and as the letter goes on, they were greeted by a volunteer. They were offered a wheelchair. They were taken into the emergency room. They had somebody that was there to greet them. They said people in the hallway were saying hello as they were being escorted, and they instantly had a very different feel from the moment they walked in the door at Osborne from the previous hospital they were at. They took all that feeling into their care through the emergency department. You could just read how it continued on from the registration and admitting team into the triage, into the doctors and nurses, and through the discharge. And the letter ended by saying, as long as we can make it from Buckeye to Osborne Medical Center, that will be our hospital for life. And I don't know about you, but I think about that distance to drive down the I-10 from Buckeye into downtown Scottsdale. And it really just shows what all the science shows as well too. We will drive longer, we will wait longer when we are treated with empathy and we are approachable experts here for our community. And I really think that's what it takes, to be the HonorHealth brand. When you see that, that's what we should all be striving for. So thank you, and back to you, Melissa.
Thanks for sharing that amazing story, Liz, of just the true impact of our volunteers. And Liz and Kylene and I, we just want to say how grateful we are for you. We know that we are better because of you, because of the way that you show up to care with so much heart and so much empathy for everyone who walks in the door of our HonorHealth or Desert Mission facility. As we are nearing the end of our presentation, we want to highlight some upcoming events as we move into the holiday season. Raise your hand if you have been to Zoo Lights before. Have you been a part of our HonorHealth Zoo Lights event? Awesome. Yay. Good. I'm so glad so many of you are raising your hands. It's always one of my favorites. If you don't know what I'm talking about, every year HonorHealth books out Zoo Lights at the Phoenix Zoo just for our HonorHealth employees and volunteers. So there's no one else in the community invited. It's just for you. And it's actually before Zoo Lights is open to the public. So you kind of get a sneak peek before anyone else does. And your ticket in, you don't need to RSVP. You just have to wear your badge and you can get up to 4 guests to join you. So you can pick either the Thursday, November 13th or Friday, November 14th. And it's a lot of fun. Like I said, just bring your badge and then you can get up to 4 guests in for free. And then if you have a 5th guest or more than that, then there's a cost for those folks coming in. But really hope you're able to join us. We also have our annual holiday party on Thursday, December 11th. This year, we're changing up our venue a little bit. We're going back to the Grand Hyatt Scottsdale. As we've expanded so much with our new East Valley campuses, we're trying to find something that's a little bit more kind of central and in the middle from our North Phoenix Sonoran Crossing campus to our campuses in Four Peaks. So hopefully you're able to join us. You can bring a guest. If you haven't already RSVP'd, you can RSVP with your volunteer supervisor, or you can send us an email to let us know you're coming. And we're just excited to celebrate with you and say thanks for such a wonderful year. Now I'm going to play a video from Dr. Tiffany Pankow, who is our Vice President, Chief of Caregiver Wellness and Patient Experience. Our volunteer services rolls up underneath her leadership. She's a huge advocate for our volunteers. You'll see here at all of our volunteer celebration events and at Zoo Lights. She wanted to be able to come and say a message of thanks at all of our fall educations, but you could see from the list we had a lot, so she couldn't join us. So I'm just going to play this quick message of her thanks, and then we'll kind of wrap up after that.
You know, for me, fall is often a time of reflection and a season of gratitude. And I'm not just grateful for the cooler weathers, though I am grateful for that. We all have a choice of where we spend our energy, our effort, and our caring. And I am so grateful that all of you choose to give your valuable time and your deep compassion to us at HonorHealth. You are such an important part of the fabric of our organization. You build trust with a smile and a word of kindness, and you are definitely one of our approachable experts to help guide and support our patients and families, often at their most vulnerable time. I just wanted to take a moment and share a very heartfelt thank you for all you do and the difference that you make every time you show up at our hospitals for our patients and our families. I also wanted to thank you for taking the education program, helping us to stay compliant with the regulatory requirements, and hopefully you've learned a little bit of something along the way as well. I look forward to seeing you at Zoo Lights. Don't forget to go through the Blue Zone section, and I'm definitely looking forward to our holiday celebration in December. Again, my deepest gratitude for all that you do for all of us. Thank you.
Awesome. Hopefully you will get to meet, if you haven't yet, Dr. Tiffany Panko, you'll get to meet her at one of our upcoming events. As we wrap up, just wanted to say a final message of thank you so much for joining us today and completing your annual education. We are so grateful for all that you do for us, and hopefully you were able to take away a couple nuggets of wisdom from today on and really maximize your impact as you go about your service, your next volunteer shift. I've put up the QR code so that if you haven't given us your feedback yet, we would love to get your feedback. But once you do that, you are free to go for the evening, and we just want to say thank you so much.